Okay, good morning everyone. Oh, sorry, we need to start this recording too. Okay, good morning everyone again. We are on Kuf Yud Beis Amud Beis in Maseches Sanhedrin. We didn't get, we stopped a little bit early yesterday for those that were here and for those that weren't. Trumos Yirkavu. We're just going to read it. We'll be done at the regular time. This DAF is short. Trumos Yirkavu. So we said that if you have truma of an ir anidachas, so you need to let it rot. So Amar Rav Chisda loshna el truma biyad Yisrael, aval truma biyad kohen kevon dimamone hu tisaref. That's only a truma that a Yisrael in the ir anidachas is holding, and it's going to get destroyed. Doesn't matter if the Yisrael is a Rasha or a Tzaddik. We said all of their stuff gets destroyed. So you have a truma biyad Yisrael. A truma biyad kohen in the ir anidachas, that gets destroyed because that belongs to him. It doesn't matter if he's a tzaddik or a rasha. Again, all the stuff gets destroyed. Why should truma biyad Yisrael not be destroyed? Why should it be yirkavu? Why should it be left to rot? Well, as Rashi explains, there's a guy who's holding it. It's all the way up on the left. This guy who's holding it, he hasn't given it to a kohen yet. So now he has a choice. If he gives it to a kohen in the city, what's going to happen to it? It's going to get destroyed. It's going to have to be burnt. If he gives it to a kohen outside of the city, what's going to happen? Nothing. The kohen can eat it. Therefore, since he has this choice where he could give it to either one he wants, but now Lamais it's an ir anidachas, so we're not going to destroy it. On the other hand, we're not just going to let him give it to the kohen outside the city because it's an ir anidachas. So it's sort of like a pshara. In the middle, what we're going to do is we're going to say trumas yirkavu, the similar of yignazu, of burying something, so you just let it rot. That's what the Gemara says. Maser Yosef has a shaila though. The problem is the Bryce says Meiser Sheni v'chitzvei kodesh yignazu. That Meiser Sheni you have to be gones. Meiser Sheni biyad Yisrael. Ketruma biyad kohen dam yuktani yignazu. Meiser Sheni in the hands of Yisrael in an ir anidachas should be similar like truma in the hands of a kohen in the ir anidachas. And yet you told me that the truma in the hands of the kohen is going to go ahead and be burnt, and the Meiser Sheni in the hands of a regular person is going to be yignazu. So which one is it? It seems to be contradictory. Rather, you have to explain differently. Where do we say yirkavu, which is the equivalent of yignazu by the Meiser Sheni? That's truma biyad kohen. And now we're okay because Meiser Sheni is going to be yignazu and truma is going to be yirkavu. Aval truma biyad Yisrael einachanami tinasein lekohen shebiyar achares. He can give it to a kohen in another city because the Meiser, since even though it's ir anidachas, at the end of the day, the Meiser, since he is allowed to give it to whoever he wants, he can choose now to give it to the kohen in the other city, and Lamaisa, it will not be burnt because it's not in ir anidachas outside. Good? Now we're talking about Meiser Sheni a little bit. It's not hasam. Issa shel Meiser Sheni b'tura min achal di Rabbi Meir v'chamim mechayvin. If you have a loaf of Meiser Sheni, so Rabbi Meir says it's patur min achala. Why? Seemingly, as we'll see, because it's mamon gavoha, and Chachamim say it's chayiv and chala because it's mamon hedyot. Amar Rav Chisda machloket b'Meiser Sheni b'Yerushalayim. This is Meiser Sheni in Yerushalayim. The Rabbi Meir savar Meiser Sheni mamon gavoh for Rabbanan savar mamon hedyot. Who, when you bring Meiser Sheni into Yerushalayim, you could eat it. Rabbi Meir says it's still mamon gavoh, even though you can eat it, and therefore, if it's mamon gavoh, it's patur min achala. And Rabbanan say no. Once you can bring it into Yerushalayim and you can eat it, now it's mamon hedyot, and therefore it's chayiv and chala. Aval b'gvul and divrei kol patur, but in gvul where it cannot be eaten and it needs to be redeemed. So for sure, there we consider it to be Meiser. We mamon of Hashem, and therefore Lamaisa it doesn't need to have challah taken off. Matzah of Yosef has a kasha though. Meiser Sheni v'chitzvei kodesh yignazu. We said that Meiser Sheni, which again we explained as regular Meiser Sheni biyad Yisrael in an ir anidachas, that gets yignazu because on one hand it needs to be destroyed, on the other hand it's Meiser Sheni. So we're going to have a pshar. We're going to go somewhere in between. We're not going to destroy it, but we're not going to go ahead and let you use it. B'mayaskin, and what are we dealing with here? Elim of Yerushalayim. If you're dealing with Meiser Sheni in Yerushalayim and it's ir anidachas, Yerushalayim became an ir anidachas, that's impossible. Mihavi ir anidachas, v'atani asar dvarim nerim b'Yerushalayim v'zuachas mehen eina nases ir anidachas. We know that Yerushalayim can never become an ir anidachas. So it must be what? That this Meiser Sheni that's getting buried is where? It's outside of Yerushalayim. So if the Meiser Sheni is outside of Yerushalayim, then seemingly what would you do with it? You would burn it. So why over here? What's going on with the yignazu? So what happens? You take the Meiser Sheni into Yerushalayim, and now the mechitzos are kaltua. What does that mean? That the walls of Yerushalayim take hold of it, and therefore it's not ir anidachas property anymore. So now you have a little bit of a problem. So we said it can't be that Meiser Sheni that's yignazu is Meiser Sheni in Yerushalayim because there's no such thing as an ir anidachas Yerushalayim. If it's big vulin, if you're dealing with outside of Yerushalayim, then it doesn't make sense because at the end of the day, what happened? So you brought it into Yerushalayim, and now what happened? the mechitza should be kaltuhu. Says the Gemara, because again, bigvulin divrei kol pater, elala bigvulin uktani yignezu. Rather, it must be that we're dealing bigvulin, and it's yignezu. I want to just read the Rashis to make sure we have this down. So again,
Question.
so 1 second. So that's why I want to just read the Rashi again. Rav Chisda says that the machlokes by Meiser Sheni of Chala is dafka b'Yerushalayim, bigvulin divrei kol pater, because at the end of the day it needs to have pediyah. Therefore, it's definitely mamon of Shemayim, and it's pater in Meiser. So Rav Yosef asked a question, but Meiser Sheni has to be Yignezu. And we said, where is that? If it's b'Yerushalayim, it can't be, because there's no such thing as Nirani Dachas. Ve'ela be'ir acheres v'askulag v'Rashi. If you go up left, like 10 lines, Shaya Osa Meiser Sheni shel echad mibnei irani dachas. Because we said, what happens if it's an irani dachas in general, the Meiser Sheni? What do you do? Well, let's see. V'helu osoli Yerushalayim kodem shehudchu v'alka chudchu im kena ma yignezu lishtaru nami ba'achila dehakaltiya mechitzos dahaynu choma. So it must be that it was an ira acheres and you brought it to Yerushalayim, because again, if it's an ira acheres, the way the Gemara is understanding that, what would happen if you had Meiser in an ira acheres, Meiser Sheni?
Yignezu.
What? So you would think that it would be Yignezu, but the Gemara is not learning like that. The Gemara is not saying that it's outside of Yerushalayim. Well, what's the problem? El bir acheres v'askulag v'alkaltua mechitzos. So it must be bigvulin and it's yignezu. So it comes out that what? You can have 3 different categories. Well, really 2. You can have in Yerushalayim, what happens to Meiser Sheni? It's perfectly fine. What? Again, but that causes a question, because what happens? Again, what did he say? He said that if you have Meiser Sheni, so everybody says outside of Yerushalayim, Meiser Sheni is mamun gavoha. What do we see over here? We see that Meiser Sheni bigvulin is what? Meiser Sheni bigvulin is yignezu. So why is that a problem?
Because it's not gavoa, then it sounds like.
Correct, because it sounds like if divrei hakol it's pater, that means that it's mamon gavoa. And what should the halacha be? If it's mamon gavoa, what should the halacha be? What should you do with it? If it's mamon gavoa, Meiser Sheni is mamon gavoa in an irani dachas, what should the halacha be? The halacha should be that it's mutter, that you can eat it. So on one hand, you're saying that bigvulin, Meiser Sheni, is what? Is pater from chala, which implies that Meiser Sheni bigvulin is what? Is mutter to eat, because it's mamon gavoa. Therefore, it's mutter to eat, it's mutter. And at the other end, you're telling me that it has to be yignezu. Says the Gemara, Lola olam di'ar acheres v'askul legava, v'hacha mayaskinan kigon shenitma. No, so what's the difference? What's the case? He says, if you look at Rashi, "V'im de bigvulin divrei kol mamon gavoa hu lishtari nami ba'achila, elalav mamon hadidud and hidu tzriva lo mishum zilusa." Fine. So now the Gemara says, "Olam diracheres v'askulava." So it can't be. So that's the question. That's the question on Rechitz. So we must understand differently. Again, he's saying divrei kol bigvulin. It's mamon gavoa. So if it's mamon gavoa bigvulin, why do we say yignezu bigvulin? So we said no. What's the case? La olam diracheres v'askuhu legava. So it's an iracheres, and you brought it into Yerushalayim. So you have Meiser Sheni from an ira acheres. If it stays outside of Yerushalayim, you can eat it. What is it talking about when it says yignezu? It's when you take Meiser Sheni from an ira acheres, from an ira nidachas, and you bring it into Yerushalayim. Why should that be yignezu? You should be able to eat it. Says the Gemara, because the mechitzos are kaltua, that the mechitzos, when you bring it into Yerushalayim, now all of a sudden it's not ira nidachas anymore, and you should be able to eat it. Why in this case can you eat it? It becomes tameh. So again, if you have Meiser Sheni in Yerushalayim, no problem. You have Meiser Sheni in irani dachas, it's mamon gavoa, you can eat it. Meiser Sheni, again, Meiser Sheni.
How can you eat Meiser Sheni? You can't eat it, you have to eat in Yerushalayim.
Again, you can redeem it, and you can redeem it. It doesn't have to be buried. It doesn't have to be buried. Meiser Sheni, when does Meiser Sheni have to be buried? When is it sort of in this quasi state? When you bring it into Yerushalayim, which in a regular case you can then eat it, but it gets tamei in Yerushalayim. And the halacha is that when Meiser Sheni gets tamei in Yerushalayim, you can't eat it, but you can't just get rid of it, so you are going to eat it. Says the Gemara, v'lifrikei, Why can't you go ahead and redeem it? I can't eat it. So we originally thought like I can't carry it. Seito doesn't mean carry it, I can't eat it. Once you can't eat it, you can be poded. So you can't tell me that the case of being gonez meiser sheni is when you bring it into Yerushalayim it becomes tamei, because why would you have to be gonez it? Then just redeem it the same way you redeem it outside of Yerushalayim. Says the Gemara, rather hacha b'mayaskinan bila koach. As Rashi there says on the bottom, if you take meiser sheni money and you buy stuff with it, then that stuff can no longer be redeemed when it becomes tamei. If I have meiser sheni produce and it becomes tamei itself, then I can redeem it. But meiser sheni money that's used to buy other produce, that produce when it becomes tamei cannot be redeemed. And this needs to be gonez now. The Lifra case says, Gemara, that's not true. We can actually redeem it. Says Gemara, kiri de amar yikaver. No, we're going like the read that says yikaver. So it comes out very interestingly. What's the Gemara teaching? The Gemara here is teaching us that if you have meiser sheni that's bought, if you have money for meiser sheni, and you take that money and you buy something, and that becomes tamei, what do you do with it? Yikaver. Yignos. You bury it. What's the problem?
Why do you have to be a whore to eat meiser sheni?
You have to what?
You have to be a whore to eat meiser sheni?
But the meiser sheni itself, I don't know, but the meiser sheni itself became tamei. Not that you became tamei. So he's saying that if meiser sheni, it says that if meiser, I don't know, it says that if meiser sheni becomes tamei, you're not allowed to eat it. So now the question becomes, though, what's the chiddush here? The problem is, that what were we talking about? We were dealing with a case of ir nidachas. This whole discussion of meiser sheni, stuff that you bought with meiser sheni money becoming tamei, has nothing to do with ir nidachas. What's the connection to ir nidachas? Ihachi mai irya ir nidachas. Afilo de almanami. Anybody, anytime you have a case, this halacha applies to anything. Any regular case of meiser sheni, outside of Yerushalayim, you're poded, and then you eat it in Yerushalayim. You bring it to Yerushalayim, you eat it. This case has nothing to do with ir nidachas. You bring it to Yerushalayim, it becomes tamei. What do you do with it? You bury it. What's the connection to ir nidachas? Says the Gemara, elul olam b'tahor. No, so what are we dealing with? We're dealing with regular meiser sheni. Regular meiser sheni is mamon gavoa. My regular meiser sheni is mamon gavoa. Well, you can't just eat it because it's ir nidachas meiser sheni. We're talking about meiser sheni from ir nidachas. It's mamon gavoa. So you don't have to destroy it, but you can't eat it, so what do you do with it? So you bring it to Yerushalayim. When you bring it to Yerushalayim, what happens to the walls? We just said, what happens when you bring food into Yerushalayim? The walls get rid of the ir nidachas problem, called tuha. So olam b'torah kagon dinafol mechitzos. So what's the case you'd have to be gonez it? A specific case when you bring the meiser sheni from an ir nidachas. Now you have it. It's mamon gavoa, you don't have to destroy it. Now what are your options? You could take it to Yerushalayim. If you take it to Yerushalayim itself, the mamon, once you pass through the walls magically, quote unquote, Rabbanan say, the walls get rid of the status of ir nidachas and you can eat it. The problem is, in this case, you brought it in, and then what happened? Nafal mechitas. The mechitas fell down. The fact that you have to eat, or the fact that there's a mitzvah to eat meiser sheni inside the walls of Yerushalayim, that's a deoraisa. It says in the Torah. The fact that if you have meiser sheni, which is from an ir nidachas, when you bring it into Yerushalayim, the fact that the walls of Yerushalayim can be collate, the fact that this food, which really shouldn't be eaten otherwise, because it's meiser sheni ir nidachas food, the fact that when you bring it into Yerushalayim, the walls of Yerushalayim get rid of the ir nidachas problem, that's only midirabanan. But the same rabbis who said that the walls of Yerushalayim can get rid of the ir nidachas problem of meiser sheni from an ir nidachas, they said that that only works when the walls are still standing. And therefore, if the walls are not standing, it's not going to work. So the case of Yignazu is a very specific case. It's you have meiser sheni from an ir nidachas, you go ahead and you bring it into Yerushalayim, now it's mutter lachila, you take a bite, you're perfectly fine, but now the walls fall down. That food needs to be gonez. As opposed to regular food, which we said that became regular meiser sheni, nothing to do with an ir nidachas, you either redeem it, or you bring it to Yerushalayim, and you eat it in Yerushalayim, and if it becomes tamei, you don't have to be gonez it, you go ahead and you can still redeem it in Yerushalayim. So the only case where you have to be gonez it is a case connected to ir nidachas. You bring the food, the meiser sheni, regular Torah meiser sheni into Yerushalayim, now it becomes, now the walls fall down, l'maisa, you need to be gonez it.
Rabbi Spitz, I have another question.
Yeah.
If the people in ir nidachas are being killed, how are you bringing your meiser sheni to Yerushalayim and the mechitzot, whatever?
There's not everybody, because only the people, remember, we said that only there's a misconception that everybody gets killed. It's only the Rishaim that get killed. 51% of the city, it's not that we always thought you wipe out the whole city. You wipe out all of we said yesterday, you wipe out all of the stuff in the city, but you have tzaddikim, you have people who didn't serve avodah-zarah, they don't get killed. If 51% of the people are Rishayim,
somebody else's maser.
so they'll take somebody else's money. Yeah, you have all this food here, you get destroyed. What are you going to do with it? Right? We have good neighbors until we're gone, and then they go and they take all of our stuff.
Shogova too. Right?
What?
You said Shogova while it's still in the Yerni Dacha.
It's Shogova, right? So you take it, yeah. Zak the Gemara, we got to finish. Kisvei Kodesh. I don't want anybody to miss the serum. Kisvei Kodesh Yignazu. Masnisan delok Rabbi Eliezer, I think. Tanya Rabbi Eliezer Mer Kol Yer Sheish Ba Filu Mezuzah Chasin Lenases Yerni Dacha Shneim Arvis Aravta Beishat Zeir Ves Kol Shala Kalil Ve'echad Ikam Mezuzah Lo Efshar Dechtiv Lo Tasum Kein Lashem Lokechem. He holds that if you have one mezuzah, it can't become a Yerni Dachas because it says you need to burn the whole city. And if there's a mezuzah, you can't burn it because it's shemus. Clearly, that's not like our Mishnah. Why? Because what does our Mishnah say? Kisvei Kodesh, what do you do with it? You're gones it. The fact that you're gones it shows that even when it has mezuzahs, you destroy the city. You just take all of the holy stuff and you bury it. So the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon Amar Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu. So if you go back to the Mishnah on Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Beis, you remember the first wide line, there's a machlokes. Machlokes is, what do you do to the Yerni Dachas? So we know you destroy the whole thing. So the Torah says, V'haisa tel olam. It becomes like a mound forever. Then there's an machlokes whether you can rebuild. We know you can't, everybody agrees you can't rebuild houses and stuff. The question is, can you make it into ganos and pardesim? So V'haisa tel olam, Rabbi Yosef says you could not even make it into ganos or pardesim. It needs to be a tel forever. Rabbi Akiva says, yeah, but the very next word says, lo tivne'od. You can't build anymore. What can't you build? You can't build what it was. You can't build houses and stuff. But if you want to make it into nice greenery and stuff, that's okay. So the Gemara, Lema b'derav Avin Amar Rabbi Loi kamiflagi. Damar Avin Amar Rabbi Loi komakom she'atamot say klal ba'asei uprat below tasei ein danen oso b'klal uprat. What's the regular rule of klal uprat? Klal uprat klat ein atadan ela ke'ein haprat. That the prat in general comes to clarify the klal. If I say something general and then I say a prat, we're going to say that the prat is clarifying the klal. Rabbi Avin Amar Rabbi Loi says that over here. That's not true. That's only true by a klal uprat, a regular klal uprat. 2 aseis, 2 los aseis. But here you have an asay and a los asay. What's the asay? You have to leave it as a, what's the asay? V'haisa tel olam. And it's immediately followed by a los asay, lo tivne'od. So he says in that case, it doesn't clarify, because if you say lo tivne'od clarifies, then you would say when it says you have to leave a tel olam, if v'haisa tel olam and then lo tivne'od clarifies, then lo tivne'od will clarify and say that tel olam that I said, that's only lo tivne'od. That only means that you can't build more. But if it's not clarifying, then you're saying that lo tivne'od is not clarifying v'haita tel olam, and you would hold that v'haita tel olam means you can't do anything. So he holds that you don't make this klal uprat. If you don't make this klal uprat, therefore you're going to hold like the klal, and you're going to say you can't do anything. Who's that? That's Rabbi Yossi. Therefore Rabbi Yossi holds like Rabbi Avin, and Rabbi Akiva will say no. Klal uprat, even in a case like this, you say klal uprat, and therefore since the prat is saying specifically lo tivne'od what? Lo tivne'od the way that it was built, but you can build other things. Klal uprat, ena tadan ela ke'ena prat, and therefore Rabbi Akiva would say you can build ganos upardesim. That's what the Gemara says. Kol makom she'atamotzi klal b'asei uprat belota say ein danen osoba klal uprat. That's Rabbi Avin. Who's that? Demar islay to Rabbi Avin. Rabbi Yossi is like Rabbi Avin. Therefore you don't go ahead and you don't don the prat. Therefore we learn v'haita tel olam, you can't build anything. Umar less like Rabbi Avin. Rabbi Akiva is less like Rabbi Avin. He says you do darshan the prat, and since the prat is lo tivne'od, it's specifically lo tivne'od batim, etc. But you can go ahead and plant a ganos upardesim. Says Umar lo. The kuleyama isu Rabbi Avin. No, even Rabbi Akiva holds like Rabbi Avin. If even Rabbi Akiva holds like Rabbi Avin, so then we're saying that lo tivne'od is not clarifying. So then why, in fact, you allowed to build pardesim and ganos? Says the Gemara, because it's a diuk in the words. V'halcha b'kamiflagi marsavar od legamrei mashma. That the Rabbi Yossi, who says you can't build anything, says that when it says lo sivne'od, you can't build od, you can't build anything that was, and you can't build anything that wasn't, od forever. Now, this is interesting. The Mefarshim point out that these 2 dots are misplaced here. It shouldn't be any 2 dots. Umar sa Rabbi Akiva holds od lekama shahaisa ein edim-witnesses. When it says od, it's lekama shahaisa, you can't build. Aval nases hi ganos upardesim. That means lo tivne'od, you can't build what was. You can't build houses. But ganos upardesim, if you want to build nice parks and you want to build nice gardens, that's okay. That's the machlokes. Zak the Gemara. Hayu ba ilanos tlushin asurin mechubar and mutarin shal ira cheres bein tlushin bein mechubar and asur. If the Yarnidachas has ilanos, so if somebody asks me about fruit trees, it's nothing to do with fruit trees. It's not fruit trees connected. It's anything that's connected to the ground, we don't necessarily wipe out. It's not specifically by fruit trees here. Is that anything that's mechuba to the karka, we don't go ahead, because as we said in the pasuk, what do you have to do? You have to be sarafta anything that's already separated. Remember we had this discussion with the hair yesterday. But anything that's not yet separated, it doesn't say separate it and then burn it. So a tree you would not knock down. So it's interesting. You'd have this whole city that would be totally flattened, and you would just have all the trees standing. Here it's the opposite, right? All the trees fall down in the wind and all the houses still stand. So over there, it's all the trees are left standing. And the mechubaran are mutter, you leave them and then you can get hana from them. But this ir acheres, even the standing ones have to be knocked down. What does that mean? Ma ir acheres, what does that mean? Amar of Chisda, Yericho. It says in the pasuk in Yoshua, etc., etc. They were commanded to destroy Yericho, and specifically Hashem said even all of the standing trees. So that's an exception. Usually in Yarani Dachas you leave the standing trees in Mechubaran. There HaKadosh Baruch Hu says destroy the whole city. Now we're going to talk about Yericho a little bit and the idea of rebuilding it. What did I say? I said Yistan, I'm sorry. With the Bechor, you will lay its foundation, and with the young one, you will close its doors or finish its doors. What does that mean? Yeshua is basically saying anybody who builds up Yericho will end up burying all of their children. The oldest will die first, and then all the children will die until when you finish the doors, the youngest will die. Tanya, and the Gemara adds, it's not just Yericho. Lo Yericho al Shem Ir Acheres, lo Ir Acheres al Shem Yericho. That means you can't rebuild Yericho and be a smart guy and say, I'm going to rebuild it, now I'm going to name it something else. Or I'm going to rebuild another city, I'm going to build another city, I'm going to call it Yericho. Oh, this is not the original Yericho. No. Dichsiv, as it says, because we know that somebody tried that, they tried building another city and calling it Yericho, and all their children died. Who was that? A man named Yechiel. Chiel, Bana Chiel Beisa Eli, as Yericho ba'aviram bechoro yista. Aviram, his bechor, died when he put up the foundation of his skuv tziro hitziv delasem. When he put up the final doors, skuv, his son, died. Tanya ba'aviram bechoro rasha lo hayalo liomod b'skuv tziro hayalo liomod. So the way the Gemara originally understands it is that when his firstborn son died, his firstborn son was maybe not the best person in the world. Therefore, when he died, there's no way for him to know that the reason that his son was dying was because he built up a city called Yericho. But by the time his last son died, and they all died, unclear how many sons he had, but by the time the last son died, he probably should have realized that they're not just randomly dying, that they're dying because of the fact that he's building up a thing called Yericho. Says Gemara, Aviram Skuv Mayav. Why are you being so tough on Aviram and Skuv? What did they do? We don't have any proof that they were Rishayim. Ela Hachi Kamar. This is what it means. Aviram Becharo Hayalo Liomod Laosa Rasha Beskuv Tziro. That means that by the time he went from Aviram the Bechor until Skuv Tziro, who's the Rasha? Not the kids, the father's the Rasha. Chiel is the Rasha. The Rasha should have learned. Because at the end of the day, why is it telling me that he's the Bechor and he's a Tziro? What happened to everybody in between, and why is it telling us? Isn't it obvious if you're telling me the oldest and the youngest? What do you have to tell me? So what it's teaching us in the pasuk is that this guy was a Rasha, Chiel. And it's teaching us in the pasuk that he didn't learn his lesson from the very first Bechor until the very last child, the youngest. He didn't learn his lesson, and he didn't realize that the reason that they're all getting killed is because he built up a city called Yericho. Zok the Gemara. Achav, another great man. Sheshvine Hava. He was a good friend. They hung out in groups. He was a good friend of Chiel. Asa Iyuv Eliyahu Mishal B'Shlama Beitamya. So Eliyahu and Achav went to pay a shiva call, unclear for which son, seemingly for the last son, to Chiel. So now, Achav again wasn't the nicest guy. He tried to get Eliyahu. He tried to trick him. And he tried to fool him in front of everybody and make fun of him. What did he say? Yosef Kamar. He said very smartly, Dilma Kimilet Yoshua Hachilat. When Yoshua made the curse, this is what he cursed. Lo Yericho Hashem Yeriches, Lo Yericho Hashem Yericho, and you're right. And that's exactly why Chiel is sitting Shiva. Things not to say at a Shiva call. This is one of them. He's saying, Achav comes and says, you know why he's sitting Shiva? Because Yoshua cursed anybody who builds Yericho. And Eliyahu says, perfect. Now Achav's going to go for the blow. Amr lei, listen to this. Hashta lifta de Moshe lo kamekaima. I don't understand. And he's going to say, Moshe Rabbeinu also gave a curse. And his curse didn't come true. You're going to pretend to say, and you're going to claim to say that Yoshua's curse came true. Where did Moshe give a curse and it didn't come true? Moshe says, Moshe Rabbeinu says, if you serve avodah-zarah, I'm not going to give rain. V'hahu gavra, Achav says proudly, and I, Okim, I set up avodah-zarah everywhere. And yet, there's so much rain, I can't even walk through the mud to get to the avodah-zarah that I want to serve. So Moshe Rabbeinu says somebody who serves avodah-zarah, there's going to be no rain, and we clearly see that that curse is not true, because I serve a lot of avodah-zarah, and there's plenty of rain. Lifted the Yoshua Talmidei Mekayma, you're going to claim that the reason that this guy Chiel is sitting Shiva is because of a curse of Yoshua? Moshe Rabbeinu's curse didn't come true. You think Yoshua's curse came true? Rather, there must be another reason. Says the Gemara, Miyad vayomer Eliyahu atishbi mitoshvei Gilad, Chai Hashem leYisrael miyatalu matar. So immediately Eliyahu gets up, and he wants to prove to Achav that Achav is wrong, and says, you know what? I'm going to prove to you that Yoshua's curse is right. For whatever reason, Moshe Rabbeinu's curse didn't come true with you, because it wasn't meant for the rest of the world. But I'm going to prove that I have the powers, and I'm going to control the rain from now on, and you'll see that Yoshua's curse actually is why Chiel sitting Shiva. Aklida de matra v'kamva azah. So he davened to Hashem and said, I want the key for rain, please. And Hashem gave him the key for rain, and he was able to control. Now, he didn't actually bring rain. He stopped the rain. So now he was trying to teach Achav a lesson. Right? Because if he stops the rain, now all of a sudden Achav will see, oh, I am getting punished for serving avodah-zarah. Now, right afterwards, Vayihi Devar Hashem Elav Lemors, he says to him, Lech mizeu panitza lecha kedba v'nistarta b'nachal Chris. So it sounds like Eliyahu now was going to be killed. Achav was trying to kill Eliyahu. So Hashem tells Eliyahu to run away. And the ravens brought him food to eat because he had to go hide. Where they bring him food from? So the ravens went to Achav's kitchen. Whole discussion, it was kosher, seemingly it was kosher food, brought it to Eliyahu, and Eliyahu ate the food of Achav. So now Eliyahu has basically shown Achav, you were wrong, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for whatever other reason, didn't curse, but Yoshua, this is the curse of Yoshua, and Lamaisa, we see that Moshe's curse is coming true as well. What happened next? So now, as Eliyahu wanted, there was no rain in the land. But now the problem is that he wants to prove a point to Achav, so he's not going to bring rain. But now the people need rain. So Hashem says to Eliyahu, so now Hashem needs to get things going because he knows that we need rain, but he also knows that Eliyahu is holding the key to rain. So how does he get the key to rain back? Says the Gemara, it says, so somebody died. It sounds like Hashem made it so that a son died. Eliyahu saw somebody who died. So now Eliyahu, Hashem knew was going to daven. So Eliyahu davens, and he wants now the other key for Tchias HaMesim. Says, God, I'll trade you. There's 3 keys, and 3 keys were not given to anybody. I kept 3 keys to myself. Shel Chaya, childbirth, V'shel Geshamim, rain, V'shel Tchias HaMesim. Those are the 3 keys that I kept for myself. Says God, if I give you now the key to Tchias HaMesim, what's going to happen? Yom Mushtayim B'yat Talmud V'achas B'yat Arav. If I give you the key to Tchias HaMesim, I'm going to be left with 1 key to childbirth, and now you're going to have 2 keys. 1 to Geshem, and 1 to Tchias HaMesim. They're going to think, how could Eliyahu have more keys than God? I see how v'shakelai. I'll trade you. And Eliyahu said, fine, no problem. I will give matar, it says. Because now Hashem is basically saying, give me that key back. Eliyahu was willing to make the trade. So now he went ahead and he got the key back. Hashem brought rain. But again, Achav was proven that he was wrong. Achav was punished with a drought. And Lamaisa, we see that Chiel was punished with the curse of Yehoshua. Zak the Gemara, Darashahu Galila Kamei Rav Chisda. The Galila, the Galilean, said before Rav Chisda, Mashal Deleo Lamadamar. What's this whole story of Eliyahu like? It's like Gavra de Tarki Leglei ve'avde lemiftache, like a person that locks a door and then loses the key. As Rashi explains, because what did he do? He locked the door of heavens to have water come down, rain, and he lost the key, quote unquote, because he gave it back and he never opened it up to let the water down, and only a HaKadosh Baruch Hu will ultimately let the water down. Darash Rav Yossi B'tzipori, Abba Eliyahu, as Rashi says, Chabibi Ugdoli, Abba Eliyahu, he had a dear relationship with Eliyahu, Rabbi Yossi, he used to learn with him every day. Kapton, he says Eliyahu was a kapton. He was makbid about things. He was tough sometimes. Eliyahu heard this, and Eliyahu used to come learn every day. So he Chavrusa got upset at him, and Eliyahu didn't come for 3 days because Rabbi Yossi called him a kapton. Kiyasa, when he came, Amalei, Amailo Asamar, where have you been? Were you sick? Amalei, kapton, Karasle. No, you made fun of me. You called me a kapton. Amalei, Hadikaman de Kakapin Mar. Exactly, you proved again why I called you a kapton. The fact that you were so stubborn and you didn't come for 3 days when I called you a kapton, that shows that, of course, you're a kapton. Again, much probably to be learned from this story. Zok the Gemara. You're not allowed to take anything from the chayrim of an ir nidachas. Kozman Rishayim ba'olam charon af ba'olam. Man Rishayim, who are the Rishayim? So amongst the Rishayim is Amar Yosef Ganve. people that steal, seemingly money, other people, other time, souls, etc. Tana Rabbana. Rasha bala olam charon bala olam. When a Rasha comes into the world, so then anger comes into the world. Shenemar, as it says, bevo Rasha ba gambuz v'im klon cherpa. So when a Rasha comes, anger comes into the world and bad things come. Rasha avad min olam. When a Rasha leaves this world, tova bala olam, good things come. Shenemar uva avod rishayim rina. There's rina when a Rasha is gone. Tzadik niftar min olam ra bala olam. Shenemar, as it says, when a tzaddik leaves, things bad things happen. Hatzadik avad ve'in ish sam alei ve'anshei chesed ne'asafim be'ein mevin ki mipnei hara ne'asaf hatzadik. When he leaves, things happen. Tzadik bala olam, tova bala olam. Shenemar, this tzaddik vaygrashmo noach lemor ze yinachamenu mima'asenu u'meitzvan yadenu. He will give us nachama because he's a tzaddik. Hadron Allah kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelak v'slik Allah v'seches Sanhedrin.
Marcus is next.